Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. I don't know about you, but, last night, just a pretty chill night. Nothing going on. Just hanging out. Open Twitter, see what's going on, and immediately flooded with all this insane off-season rumors that come seemingly out of nowhere and somehow seem like they're all linked together.
I don't know if we even have had a day quite like yesterday night was for off-season news / rumors to come out in the League of Legends space. We've had some pretty wacky days, some wild ones, hearing about, oh my god, caps and perks, G2, what are they doing? We've had wild times. Yesterday, absolutely, the magnitude of it has shaken the League of Legends scene even more.
And we're getting not just rumors with this, we're getting very stiff, formal announcements from Reggie and Parth for TSM. The first non-rumor is that Bjergsen is not going to be with TSM in 2022. Parth saying that they fielded a competitive offer to Bjergsen. I think he said October 1st, which is already almost a month ago now. And Bjergsen declined, saying he's got offers from other NA teams. Of course he does. So it is truly the end of an era and maybe the end of an organization. Because right now, Bjergsen probably has more fans than TSM.
TSM, you better believe it, whether you want to go the full way of the TSM organization, or if you want to go to TSM League of Legends specifically, which is pretty much the heart of that organization, it is on life support, with Bjergsen rejecting this offer. Is an important thing to remember. Rejecting the offer. This is different than when TSM said, you know what, Double Lift, I know you've got lots of fans, our relationship has been great, but we're going to take a little trip down to EU and see how Sven and Mithy do. That was different. That was TSM's decision to make a pivot, to make a change, to move on, to say goodbye.
They wanted Bjergsen.
They wanted Bjergsen. The fans, everybody wanted Bjergsen with TSM. And no, it is not going to happen. And it's Bjergsen saying no. For what reasons, what amount of money, all these type of things are questions that can be answered later. But right now, just based on pure speculation and the reaction of having this news come through, it is anything but a bullet wound here for the TSM fan base and for TSM looking at their bleeding fans.
And it is speculation, what I'm about to say, but we've said for years that the biggest issue with TSM has been roster building, upper management, and the organization itself for why it hasn't found the success that we're accustomed to seeing out of them. And I feel like even if they matched whatever offer is coming from any other squad, it feels like if Bjergsen was declining this, he was going to decline anything because he wanted a full, fresh start now that he comes back to playing, and that means not being on TSM.
He's been with the TSM organization. He has been partnered with Reggie, partnered with Parth pretty much for these 8 years.
His entire adult life.
Absolutely. You think that's enough time to come to any sort of conclusion about whether these are the people that you want to trust to put together as competitive as a roster as you feel is necessary or worth your time coming out of retirement? Or do you not have any faith, or do you have the faith in them to do it whatsoever? And that's what seemingly to me part of this rejection answers, is that, you know what, I've been on the inside, I've been part of these failures, and I've also seen who is the higher up in the charge for it, and I've had a relationship with them, and I'm not buying it. I'm not believing that they're going to be able to deliver a championship level for me.
And it sounds like, Reggie and Parth saying they're still going to be competitive, but at the same time saying they're going to hoping to field a younger roster that's developmental. So those are two contradictory things, really, unless you're striking gold or finding diamonds in the rough to have young players and immediately be competitive. So what's the rest of the roster going to look like for TSM? We already know Sword Art's not going to be there. He's being released from TSM despite the massive contract that he was signed there. Huni and Spica? Is Spica just going to be surrounded by 4 rookies now and all of a sudden he's skyrocketed into that leadership role?
Oh man, it's tough, because what you actually do need to, kind of remove yourself emotionally from the reaction of the Bjergsen rejection and look at the free agency pool and go, okay, TSM, and again, fingers, everything should be there with the money, let's go at it. Let's try to build a roster. It's still very possible to build one that you can be excited about on paper. But how does that outweigh the disappointment of the Bjergsen
It
news?
does.
And the answer is it doesn't. It doesn't matter, because unless the other name coming in to replace it is welcome TSM FTX Chovy, not happening, then there's no way you can sell the fan base and the Bjergsen fans, more importantly, on staying with the organization.
Yeah, and obviously the question outside of that is, A, how many fans are TSM going to lose to Bjergsen? Because, like I said, they survived Doublelift leaving. They lost a good chunk of fans when Doublelift left after 2017 because they were Doublelift fans before TSM fans. Over the last couple of years especially, I think a lot of people have transitioned to just being Bjergsen fans, which is why even though when he stepped into that coaching role, you were still like, okay, I can still root for this team. Bjergsen's still associated with them. With him gone, whatever team he ends up on, the fans, I'm thinking more than half of these League of Legends fans from TSM are going to be following Bjergsen to wherever he ends up. The question is, where's he going to end up, Mark? The main rumor now, and this is where these things all seem linked together, now we talk about Team Liquid 2022. And the rumor going around is that Steve is opening up the wallet for Bjergsen, and he'll be coming over to Team Liquid potentially, with Jensen pulling a perks and role swapping to AD carry. It's a wild world we're living in if this is the outcome that happens.
It's Steve pulling up to Reggie at the stoplight and going, "Oh, new car, FTX money. That's pretty nice. Oh, you're asking about my supercar that I'm driving? Oh yeah, we got Disney money over here with Team Liquid." It's a different category no matter what happens right now with that cryptocurrency. And hell yeah, it's gonna be expensive. This is what's coming through. Wild times in the LCS. They had their look at caps and perks, and they said, how can we match that? Well, a couple years late, but it seems we might get it.
I mean, it is really the NA equivalent of caps perks is Bjergsen Jensen. They've been the two best mid laners for years, rivalry going back and forth. Neither of them have ever reached the level, obviously, of caps or perks. And, this is harsh, maybe to say, especially Jensen. He just had a really good Worlds run with Team Liquid. Individually, he was playing at a high level. Is Jensen better at AD carry than tactical?
That is the real question that I think you need to have, because I've got a lot of faith and potential for tactical. At the same time, I have a lot of respect for the skill that someone like Jensen does have, and I do know a lot of people have talked about with these rumors coming about, is that Jensen has leaned towards being an ADC in the past. He is someone that has appreciated and liked that role, liked the champions, and then just simply, fell in love with playing a couple mages and said, hey, move over to the mid lane and park myself in for a nice role. Absolutely possible. Again, I think you're bringing up a very reasonable question. Is it going to be maximizing the potential of the skill on this roster, whether it would be tactical or Jensen?
Yeah, and that's obviously a question that we'll have to answer, but I never thought I'd be seeing Jensen and Bjergsen playing on the same team. Again, rumors, if this does come true. The other one, I believe this one's from Travis Gafford, your boy, that Bwipo may be coming over to Team Liquid to replace Alfari, which means he's swapping back to the top lane. It sounds like they'll be keeping Santorin and Core JJ, so you could be looking at Bwipo top, Santorin jungle, Bjerg mid, Jensen AD carry, Core JJ support. Bwipo and Santorin sounds like a weird top jungle duo to me.
It's a weird top jungle duo, because when you think about how Bwipo has been the most successful throughout his career, it's paired up side with an aggressive jungler, someone that is also going to be there taking every single fight with him, trying, it's either going to be beautiful or disgusting type of thing coming across from that pair. And then you look at Santorin, and when he's been the best, it's when it's been a more, a dominant top laner, but not someone that's, overly aggressive, that's looking to fight all the time, that allows Santorin to go at his pace. Bwipo and Santorin, it's not mashing up. It's the two.
They're going in opposite directions.
It's the two sides of the magnet that won't let you connect and touch them to the side. That's what seems to be, to me, the play styles of those two. Obviously, anything can happen and they would be able to work through it, but doubtful looking at it from this perspective right now. And especially with how that matches up and meshes in to then what would have been the other side of that investment with a rumored Bjergsen in the mid lane and Jensen role swapping out to the ADC role.
Yeah, I just, if that is the roster, that doesn't scream like title favorites to me on paper. Things could work out, of course, and I've seen people
Really
saying
expensive. That's what it does.
It'd be expensive for sure. I've seen people saying, what is Team Liquid doing? They think Bwipo's an upgrade over Alphari. No, nobody does. But I'll tell you, Alphari doesn't want to play on Team Liquid. So it's not, they're not saying we'd rather have Bwipo than saying Alphari. It's, we're losing Alphari. What can we do to replace him?
Absolutely, and I don't think that Bwipo, in its own vacuum, just looking at Bwipo as someone that you were going to try and bring in to replace Alphari, not in the literal sense of being exactly Alphari, but having to take that role for the team and provide something for them. Absolutely, you could be looking at it in that way, and it's one of those ones where, well, what other option would you really be looking at? And for me, none of them are really jumping out to me immediately. Again, other than Alphari, which we seem to know seems to be not an option for Team Liquid anymore.
The rumor madness didn't stop there, of course, from a couple of EU NA mids in Bjergsen and Jensen to the latest EU mid in NA, Perks. And we knew already that it was rumored he wanted to be looking, Vitality, teaming up with Alphari. But now Cloud9 is fielding offers for the buyout. Perks is a little different than Power of Evil. Cloud9's not giving that contract away for free. They are fielding how much money they can get for it. We already know that, one, it's likely Perks wants to go back to EU. He wants to be back with family. Totally understandable. And two, it sounds like he kind of wants to be the architect of his own team. He wants to, we know he's great at recruiting. He wants to bring the boys together and build his own squad in EU. And we already see him memeing to the nth degree on Twitter.
Yeah, if you can't take sarcasm, I advise you stay away from Perks' Twitter for sure the next couple of months, because my man is going to be throwing every type of joke, reference, Easter egg that he can.
Oh, he loves it. He loves this type of scenario.
Yes, he's been following, unfollowing to get whatever the bot is that talks about who people are following on Twitter. He's been doing it all, man.
He's running laps around the Reddit detectives. He's 3 steps ahead of them at all times.
And situation is certainly interesting on many angles, and the one that we have talked about and I didn't expect at the time was the Perks and Alphari situation. Obviously makes a little bit more sense now, seeing this Bjergsen domino fall the way that it is and what that can mean financially and how things are shifting with Team Liquid. I still don't necessarily buy in on the possibility of getting Perks and Alphari together. I do buy in on what you have talked about. This idea, this thing that's come out about Perks wanting to be the one, to be the shaper, to be the architect behind this roster that he is trying to assemble in the LEC. Can absolutely see that being a mix of players that Perks has deemed to be good enough, and not only good enough, but to have that hunger, to have that desire to win and be the very best, the way that we can see Perks elevate on the international stage.
And there's, again, assuming it's EU, I don't think he's going to be staying in North America. It becomes a pretty short list of teams he could build from the ground up. Okay, sure, he could just slot in to Fnatic. Okay, just throw Perks in there potentially. But if you're looking at, other these super teams, Vitalities, the main one people are talking about, how much money does BDS have? Let's make a splash in your first split. You got Grabs as head coach, best pals with Perks. Maybe you talk to Ocelot before and say, Reckless is our first signing. We don't know what we're going to do. You got to outsmart Ocelot, because he doesn't want to contribute to a super team. So you start with Reckless. Then, quick, Perks and Alphari come in, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay.
The one that I've heard that I'm actually pretty interested about is Rogue, as being a possibility of them saying, look, Larson, he's been fantastic, but he's been too much down this one narrow lane. Let's spice it up. Throw Perks in the mid lane. And, Han Sama, you wanted to leave? We've got Perks here. Why would you want to go? That's the one that I'm thinking is a little bit of extra spice to the LEC.
Yeah, if he can't be building his full team, and I'm sure he's weighing the options, I can handpick this team, or I can get slotted into a team that's a perennial contender and Worlds participant. That sounds pretty good too.
Hey, you mentioned earlier about the differences between a PoE situation and the Perks one. You better believe Cloud9 is looking to get their cash back on this type of investment because, hey, if Perks leaves, you're not. It's not a trade. It's not a swap. You're not guaranteed anybody coming back at this point, and you have aspirations to be at that competitive forefront for North America. You're gonna have to replace Perks, and that's not gonna come cheap.
People, Team Liquid is the main rumor for Bjergsen. Perks leaving. Cloud9's also an option. We know that Cloud9 just siphons old TSM players and they look even better. So
I can promise you, no matter how much TSM fans are hurting, are in pain about the idea of Bjergsen on Team Liquid, as a Bjergsen joining forces with Jensen, it would hurt even more if he donned that baby blue.
I can't even picture Bjergsen in a Cloud9 jersey. It just, my brain can't compute that.
The problem is I actually can, and what I think of is it's just a mishmash of Bjergsen merging into Lemonation. That's all I can think of.
I think that's what they do at Cloud9. They just use a bit of cloning from Lemonation on everyone who comes over.
That's that dark magic that Jack's got.
But obviously, the Perks domino that falls is going to be probably the biggest impact in EU. Bjergsen the same for North America. The other little bit of Fnatic rumor, which compared to these other ones, it's a lot less crazy. But if Bwipo is leaving, there's going to be a jungle vacancy. Razork is the main rumor now to come in to replace them. I actually like that. That might be an upgrade for as good as Bwipo was at the time. I feel like Fnatic's going to keep Adam. Hylissang, we assume Upset is going to be back as the starting ADC for them. So Niski is really still the main question mark mid lane for them. Maybe they get Perks. Maybe Niski stays.
There needs to be a discussion about that because obviously, I think when you do look at it, Perks in many areas would be considered the upgrade over someone like Niski right away. Niski has provided his own value for this Fnatic roster and for the fan base as well, so that would be something that would need to be weighed. But on the news of Razork potentially being the replacement for an exiting Bwipo, I do like that. I think that he is someone that has shown us throughout his early little bit in the LEC that he can provide that fire that seems to be necessary from a Fnatic jungler at this point. And especially if a fiery decision maker like Bwipo is stepping out, Razork could be the next best thing to plug in for Fnatic.
Slightly more calculated aggression out of Razork. We'll call it there. But a lot of things to be excited about with this offseason. And we're still... These stay all rumors because teams, again, can't sign till I think it's November 15th or 16th before they can officially sign with teams. So a Bjergsen deal could be already done. They just have to sit on it until that date.
Hey, man, it is crazy to think that is going to be the possibility. We still got to get through our fun semifinals. Then we got to...
Worlds is still going. I thought it was over.
Got to crown our world champion for the year. And then, man... it's going to be a short couple of hours after that before it starts flooding on through all of these off-season signings. It never stops.
You're going to have a week, basically, where all these rumors are going to be full speed ahead with, at least half of them tend to be accurate enough.
Hey, LPL, LCK, they get to enjoy a world championship. Step on into the LCS World Championship, the offseason.
In classic North America fashion, just give us the drama. We don't care about the games. We just want the drama, man.
We just want to put the cash down on the table and take our prize. That's what we want.
Yeah, it's winning the offseason is more important than winning Worlds, right?
Hey, undefeated North America.
Cloud9 wins it every year, time and time again. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch you on that flipping flip.